right. Good morning, Benton Harbor. Good morning, and good morning. Whew, another day. We're chatting with the chief. It is Monday, October 24th, 2022. And I'm here with you live right now. Today, we're chatting with the chief. I am Director Dan McGinnis. I'm the Director of Public Safety for the City of Benton Harbor. Uh, Director of Public Safety is a fancy word for chief. So that's why we call the show Chat with the Chief. So we're here today with you. Again, I am Director McGinnis. So good to be back for another week. I was open for a guest, but we didn't quite connect this morning. So I'm gonna be talking bad about him when I get to him later on today. He's probably still asleep. So we are here today, and it's been a pretty eventful week, at least for me personally. Last week, I had somebody in my family had some surgery that they had to replace a hip, and of course I had an injury with one of my kids. So kind of dealing with that, but we're leaving on complete recovery and healing, and everything went well as far as the surgery. As my mom, she had surgery, got a hip replacement, so she's doing well, and so that was that. So I was kind of a little tired last week. Excuse me. It hasn't been a bad October. It's been fairly quiet. A couple of incidents that happened this weekend, but nothing like the summer that we started with. So we're doing good. Glad that we're in a decent place. Of course, we are still working on a number of projects here at the department. And for those, just kind of remind you, or if you're not quite sure how the department is structured, I'm the Director of Public Safety. And under me is, of course, police and fire. We're public safety, so those are together. But police, fire, and also code compliance, which is formerly known as inspection. So we're kind of in all those venues. Code compliance is definitely a stretch, but that happens to be under the Director of Public Safety by charter. So that's what I do, and those are things that I work on. So I work on a number of projects, kind of all over the place. I shouldn't say all over the place, but in different levels that fit within the organization. So we've been very blessed and fortunate to have some success as public safety. We're moving in success in code compliance and some other things. So that is what Director of Public Safety actually means. But generally, people just kind of call me Chief, which is fine. I'm good with that. So again, good to be here this morning. I didn't get much sleep last night. I don't know why I could not sleep. I'm normally a late night person, so I probably go to bed about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, actually falling asleep. About 4 o'clock, I was like, please, I got to get more than 3 hours sleep for tomorrow. I didn't, but drink some coffee, and I had some nice electrolyte drink, and I'm ready to go. So we're going to kind of talk today generally about some things that we are looking to do, are doing. One of the things, though, I do want to consider, I'm going to put this out there, and I should have probably put it in a banner, but I was pretty well. Chat with the Chief now has been going. This is our 7th month, so it's amazing how time flies when you're having fun. Remember, we started this back April, I think April 4th or 5th, and we've been kind of going ever since. Been off a couple times, holidays and some other times, but for the most part, we've been here every Monday for 7 months now. So it's good to be back. Oh, got good mornings from a couple of friends. Sergeant G, good morning to you, sir. Also, Big Don, good morning to you. Good morning. So, hey, what was I saying? Chat with the Chief here. All right, so we're moving on. We've been on, for 7 months now. It's been a blessing. I was a little scared coming on at first because back before when we had Chat with the Chief, the city had its own radio station, so we can go below, be on the station. But back then, the technology is you called in, and we had a little device called a delayer that somebody called something crazy. You just you could screen them out. Well, obviously here with chatting, it's not necessarily the same control. So it's been pretty good. I was kind of scared because I was used to the radio and the delayer. And of course, on the internet, everything's wide open. It's been a blessing. I did not know that it would grow to the reaches that it has. I know there's a couple radio stations that listen, not radio, but TV stations that listen to it and actually report on things that we discuss. So that was interesting. So it's been a blessing. We're going to do some other things with Chat with the Chief moving forward. Definitely, as you see, I'm sure you would like for me to get a green screen or something so you don't see the back of my raggedy office. I'm hoping to maybe talk to the City of Ben Harbor Communications Committee on developing the studio. We used to have the radio studio downstairs. Maybe we can get media studio. It's a different day. So, but I bring that up to kind of ask a question. If anyone want to kind of give me some feedback of, so when we first came on, the reason why we made it Monday at 9 is the original chief here, Chief Al Mingo, back in 2000 and something, started. He's the first one that's had Chat with the Chief, and he was on at 9 o'clock in the morning. I think his was on Tuesday. I did mine Monday. I'm not sure why. But I just kind of mirrored that. But I'm wondering, would a different time be better for Chat with the Chief? Maybe there's later in the morning, maybe, or maybe early in the afternoon, something like that. So I'm open to discussion on that. What people would think. Should we change the time to Chat with the Chief, or even change the day? I'm kind of wide open. This is really for the citizens, so I'm definitely open to you guys' opinions. So I know when we first started, I know Shaquille had a suggestion, but anyway, I put that out there. Would that be something that would work out better for more people if we were to change the time of Chat with the Chief? Again, I'm not necessarily married and committed to Monday at 9. That's just kind of where we started. We're going to reevaluate. So I'm open to receiving some constructive criticism or suggestions on that. And here we go. Shaquille, should know, he right there. Johnny on the spot. Good morning, sir. As a lot of the residents will like the afternoon due to work and clean offie. I think clean offie talking about the snow. And clean office. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay. So, all right. So you think afternoon, Brother Turner? What time you think? Shoot me some suggestions. So we're gonna have that out there today. I'll put that up and down on the screen as we're going. Would the people be interested in seeing Chat with the Chief at a different time? You like it at 9? The other thing is, honestly, I mean, since it's replayable on Facebook and on YouTube, really doesn't matter. Once somebody gets to it, that could be argued, but on the flip side, we could be saying there could be more people to have, a livelier discussion, maybe at a different time. So I'm open to that because I think we've had some good discussions. What I really appreciate is, and I think hopefully you guys recognize and appreciate, I've said before, Chat with the Chief is not on here to be fluffy and kind of like the propaganda arm to give you a bunch of whatever. We have had guests on. We've had some comments that, we took some on the chin. That's exactly what we want to do. Have discussion. If people have questions, concerns, we can hopefully get those addressed. I try to, best I can, follow up on everything that comes up over that. So I think we've had some success there, and I hope that you guys appreciate that because, of course, your opinions matter. And one of the things, as we're talking about this, and I'm going to get into more here in a little bit, is a lot of people may not know. After 5, Shaq, I'll consider that. Appreciate that. Some people may not know that we at the police department, and I've done this for years, since I've been a director, we start to kind of craft our spring and summer strategy kind of right about now. So we got some nonsense on here with somebody's having some crazy sex stuff. I don't know what that is. So we have a strategy where we start to develop what our priorities are, what the residents would like to see us focus on during the enforcement season on spring and summer. So we start to put that together now, and I think we've just been bombed. So we'll improvise, adapt, overcome. We'll keep pressing on. So that is why I kind of bring up kind of like the time frame, and this is the time that we start that. So we always, by the time really May rolls around, we kind of do everything planning on May, doing having a strategy in place for kind of enforcement, kind of everything that we do, kind of in place, ready to go. Kind of May. May is kind of like for us, it is the kind of like the jump off time for the start. Blossom time parade starts in May. Depending on what year it is, we'd have the parade and we go from there. And of course, it gets busy after that. So let's go to back here. So with that being said, we're looking at now not only our 2023 kind of enforcement strategy. Again, that's police and code compliance. Also looking at putting together some of the things that we had got started with. We started discussing on Chat with the Chief. Remember, we had Pastor McAfee on and some other people. And we talked about some things we wanted to do as a community. So I want to kind of talk about that. Again, I'll take suggestions on if anybody wants to. This is really crazy how I gotta figure out how you can kind of. This is what I was talking about. This is wide open, so people can put crazy comments up. Somebody's giving some link to some crazy site here. But Ms. Mason, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you all. Thanks for joining us. So again, if anyone wants to consider putting Chat with Chief at a different time, I'm open with that. Brother Rich, actually, first let me say hi to Sister Bernice Mason. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Brother Rich is a very devout listener. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I guess listener, watcher, Chat with the Chief. Just putting yourself out here is a good move to gain audience and input, especially when follow-up occurs. Emails seem to be one way. Okay. Well, thanks, Rich. I appreciate that. I'll try the best we can to follow up. I know there's been some issues with state police. I got on the phone and followed up with them on that. So we've had some success there. So anyway, so we'd like to hear from the people what is, what might be important to them. If there's a certain part of a city or a neighborhood where there's really, we got dumping kind of a lot of places, but it's really bad here. We got maybe some good spots we can maybe catch somebody. We want to hear about those things. Are you living in an area where you have neighbors that might have loud music perpetually? Those are the kind of things that we want to hear. What's important to you? We've been really focusing on. I think everyone has been focusing on. excuse me, the violence, the gun violence in the city, and of course, we've been trying to be on top of that. And with that being said, I want to say that when we started Chat with the Chief. Of course, it was myself and Pastor Maurice McAfee from New Bethel was on the first couple episodes. And we had, I think, some other guests and some pastors. But we've gotten together and said we want to have kind of achieve kind of three basic goals, kind of three basic overarching goals of kind of what we're trying to accomplish. When I say we, the group of not just churches, which I'm going to get into here more in some detail, but a group of community stakeholders that want to see change and realize change in violence and change and the ability to reach our youth is not throwing more cops and handcuffs and court dates at them. That's honestly not going to help. So yeah, we get help from the state police. Yeah, we get help from the sheriff department. But I think I would hope that you would agree that we cannot ticket our way, arrest our way, and change the culture of violence in this community. So we have to look at it from a holistic approach. I call it a kind of a macro approach, but talking to Ashley Hines, who, again, I'm going to talk about a little bit more detail in a little bit, had the term holistic approach, which is we want to kind of get solutions coming from all aspects of the community. So it's not just police, it's not just arrests, it's also churches working together, it's other committee members working together, it's residents working together to demand a higher standard or a higher requirement for the people of the community to come through and respect each other. Ultimately, yeah, loud music, having shooting in, of course, broad daylight. That's the level of respect that people need to have for their neighbors, if you will. So, excuse me. So my goal as a director is trying to bring together different alliances. There's so many stakeholders out there, and some of them do kind of the same thing. The biggest problem I see in Benton Harbor is that a lot of the organizations are in silos. So you might have, for example, it's just out of my mind, random out of the air, say a girls basketball program might be over here, and there's another one over here, and they're both doing the same thing. They can either work together or complement each other, and they don't even talk. You got churches, some of the churches that do things kind of in silos, and they don't really involve other churches. They don't really ask for help. You never know what they're doing. They usually post it on Facebook, which is mainly their members. So you might have one church that might be working over here, and you got the other church working over here. They're kind of doing the same thing, but they're not talking. So my goal is to somehow, and it doesn't have to be me. That's why I love somebody like Ashley Hines, who is a tremendous, tremendous talent in our community. Born and raised, left, came back again. I talented 10th. I always talk about that. Maybe people like her, Rich Rabbers, also somebody can help maybe pull some of these things together. And I'd like to have myself, the Department of Public Safety, with a bigger partnership relationship with the Downtown Development Authority. Look at how downtown is blowing up. We've never really had the conversation of what can we do now from a public safety perspective, other than do trick or treat on Halloween with a fire truck, how we can help to build downtown together. So we want to look at things like that. Shaq here saying more community engagement, getting the PSOs out of the patrol town hall and going door to door and listening to the residents. That's something that is very, very helpful. I actually enjoy doing that. I would get out on foot and walk the block. I used to myself go and visit some seniors. I have some seniors I kind of adopted, and I would go visit them and sit down and talk to them. And that was really joy. So yeah, that is a good point. It's good. And I think our guys do a good job of talking to folks, but I think a proactive getting out and talking and seeing people when there's nothing wrong. Problem with I think police, which kind of hinders relationships, is a lot of times you only see us when there's something wrong. We need to also say hi when there's no issue. So Sister Bernice, I agree. More community engagement is a good suggestion. And I'm going to get into that hopefully a little bit today on some of the things that we want to do. So, okay. So bearing that in mind, in order, and in my mind, I think you all agree, there has to be a bigger approach from the entire community, ergo the holistic approach to combating gun violence. But I submit to you, it's a bigger issue than that, because we have a generation of children that I think are how can I say it? I would say spiritually, but they're displaced. I think mentally, from the standpoint of maybe the family is broken, maybe mom is struggling to raise a handful of kids by herself. It's amazing when you have a missing component in a child's life, how that missing component really has a very dramatic and large effect on that person's life, albeit it's missing. So how do we engage youth that we say we won't want you to engage in violence, but excuse me, maybe their home situation is such where they don't have necessarily the support that they need. Maybe they don't have anybody backing mama up when she says, hey, you can't go out, to leave anyway. Whatever the case may be. I think that I said before, I believe in the mantra, it takes a village to raise a child. And I said before, I think we see, because we as a community overall in the United States and in Benton Harbor, we can say for sure that we become apathetic over like the last maybe 20 years, at least I've been here. And that now we see the results when the community steps back and doesn't help to raise a child. So now, with that being said, how do we work our way out of this and get back into the point where the community stakeholders that were prominent and were able to help run the community back, going back to civil rights, going back through really the foundation of every city in America, because they came together with a common goal and worked in unison, and that's what we need. So with that being said, when I started this, the first, because I'm a church guy, the first alliance I looked to try to form was try to pull some churches together into an alliance. So the first part of this alliance so we can work together on kind of the spiritual side of this issue. Again, I think it's multifaceted. If you are a believer or a Christian, you will believe that also takes prayer to change the community, as well as pastors and ministry from those churches. So, we had some prayer meetings. I think we were very successful. Um, last summer, not the summer just passed, but the previous summer, Pastor McAfee with his 21 Days of Peace was very successful. So we're working on extending that and doing maybe Days of Peace next summer, not 21 days, but just Days of Peace. So it's a continued process. Same thing, going to different locations, praying for people, just kind of being present. Even to the point I know that New Bethel picked up trash in parks. That is a form of ministry. That's a form of letting people see churches in action. And a lot of times, I know iChurch and Bethel have T-shirts, Bethel CRC, so you can see that they're church people out in the community working. So we think that churches need to come together. I think right now churches are in a situation where they're stagnant and they're just kind of in survival mode. Not a lot of people are going to churches like they used to pre-COVID. Not a lot of people are faithful tithe payers. So the church does have bills. So I don't know, maybe it's been prohibited financially for churches to get out into the community. I don't know. I can't speak to that. I know that we had donated to a couple of charitable causes. Greater Grace is my church on Nickerson. So, but we're looking for churches that believe, have the same thought and belief system, that we got to work together. And again, it's not with the churches, not just the prayer meetings and not just that, but also helping in some of the other social justice issues or things affecting the family. So the three goals when we came together were, threefold. And these are the things that I believe, at least that I'm working on, trying to work on, to help holistically lay a foundation to not just ending violence over the next summer or two, but a perpetual going concern as far as systems, programs, alliances, unions, relationships that take Ben Harbor and change it moving forward for good. So the three goals were, I just kind of touched on it with just now talking about the churches. The goals for this alliance that we're trying to start is one, spiritual health of the city of Ben Harbor and Benton Township. The spiritual health. Again, I just kind of talked about that. I won't reiterate that, get back into that, but I think the community needs the churches. The church has got to step up and be the church. Back in the day, there wasn't no Department of Social Services. It was called church. We need to do that. The second goal of this is social justice. And I'm going to spend some time on this on some other shows, because I don't really think that we look at the full scope of social justice. I think mainly so people look at social justice and they think, first thing, boom, relationship with cops and citizens. Two, they might mention the courts, the courthouse. But social justice in our area, as pertaining to the Benton Harbor, is the respect and attitude and behavior of our surrounding communities towards Benton Harbor. And we've all talked about it. We've seen people who are zipping through our city that aren't from our city. They're zipping through. And I have it in my car, so they don't know that even I'm there. They're running through red lights if they stop at all, running through stop signs, speeding down Main Street, bringing, there's probably a third of the dumpers that come in the city and dump aren't even from the city. We've caught landlords that had other properties that they were cleaning out. They were changing over residents, rolls of carpet, old furniture, and dump that in our city because they don't have any respect. That also is social justice, demanding respect from the other municipalities and other citizens of Barron County, and respect us. They don't have any problem when they want to use our stats. They don't have any problem when they want to do their program and come and help, but you got to respect us overall. And I think we could probably talk to anybody on here listening that may have had an experience with a certain treatment by or have seen in the city of Ben Harbor. So I think that is important. Social justice is a much bigger apple, and we need to take a bigger bite of that apple. I think at some point, we need to go Some leaders need to go to the courts and address any concerns that they might have or citizens might have there. But overall, I think it's a much bigger picture. It's a much, much bigger picture. And I think we should have forums. I think that we should have challenge other jurisdictions on that, from not just myself, but up to the commission, the city manager. And then for me, especially when we get back to full strength personnel wise, to really enforce here. You're not going to zip through St. Joe like that. People are not going to drive through Eau Claire. You go to Eau Claire, you stop, boom, and you get that 25 miles an hour till you get through the village. How come they get that respect, but we don't? So that's part of that social justice movement, if you will, what I believe. And then thirdly, and I'm getting into some comments here, is the reconstitution of the Black family, or the reconstitution of the family in Benton Harbor, and the sense of community. Reconstitution of the family and sense of community. So what do we mean by that? Again, I've made mention before that, we got some broken families. Maybe you got some single parents, single moms, single dads raising kids by themselves. Maybe kids might not have contact with their natural mother or father, which of course you need a relationship from both sides. So to get at least kids talking with their parents, maybe mom and dad don't get along, but you still got to agree to raise the children successfully together. One of the things that we think is important is, and this is a hypothesis that's really out there on the outskirts, but we're hoping. We're talking with Pastor McAfee, myself, Boys and Girls Club. Again, we got some people we've yoked up with that are dynamic, current and future leaders in the community, of kind of picking up that lecture series that the Boys and Girls Club did, the Summit on Teen Violence. We're talking about having at least 2 to 3, 4 forums of Black history for youth. I was really impressed at when we were at the Boys and Girls Club. I've been in other areas talking to young kids. I've been in churches, and I'm really impressed at the engagement that people, the young kids have. They're hungry to hear something, and they're hungry to hear something positive that'll help change their situation, outlook, life. And I think that's it. So, for example, our hypothesis is, me and Pastor McAfee's, and I believe Ashley and others that we're working with, is that if we have a better sense and understanding of self, meaning Ben Harbor is 92% Black, so I got to address my population. I think that if they had a better understanding, there's history. I don't think it's being taught anymore in schools, but I think we all know for a fact there's been history that hadn't been taught at all. So if we can get these young boys and girls to understand the historical significance of their lives, the things that Black people went through slavery, pre, during, after slavery, to get an understanding, a sense of pride in their culture. Now, I'm not preaching nationalism. I'm not talking about bringing back the Black Panther, none of that. Hoping that, I think one of the things, we got some good people. I'm gonna jump into the comments here in a second. I'm gonna finish this thought. I think one thing that bodes well for a person's natural health is having a good sense of self. Because we have broken families, because we have had kind of a sketchy educational system as far as the nature of history, I don't think that there are many people in our community that have the pride in self because they don't understand where they come from. Now, this is probably a complicated topic, probably needs to be a show to itself, but we're hoping that if we can have, my goal is, and I'm gonna try it once to say I did it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we say we did it. But we have, if we can show, for example, one of the lectures that I want to put together is, why do Black people mistrust police kind of by nature? Well, there's a reason for that. I want to teach that so that our young people, and not just young people, but people kind of understand that from a historical perspective. You heard me make reference to the talented 10th. Those are, Black folks, young Black folks that went off to college, came back. That's your James Gunthers. That's your, actually, that's your Benny Bowers is on here. That's your Ashley Hines. Actually, it's your Dan McGinnis's. So those type of people who they can see and identify with, positive role models. You know, seeing again Ashley Hines, a Judge Mayfield, seeing a Dan McGinnis, somebody that's kind of came from the ashes, if you will, to get some pride in that. Also want to talk about Talented 10th, the police relations through the years. There's a couple other ones I want to teach, which I think will be a good segue. I know there's some other, couple other people that have some classes they want to put together and show that in the community and hopefully open up some windows and avenues of discussion and curiosity. So with that being said, I'm going to go back and look at some of the comments. Da, 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 da. Okay, so I think I left off here. So here's Shaq. The residents will also like to meet all the PSOs having a community event. Well, Shaquille, that opportunity is there because we got National Night Out where it's every August, first Tuesday in August every year. And actually, we're all there. So they can kind of meet us there. But one thing is I want to institute and chat with the chief is at least once a month, I would like to take each officer and highlight them. Talk about, them, kind of meet them, not the whole show, but maybe a little segment. For example, this is, and we've had on here, this is Fire Marshal Kazmerzik. This is where he's from. This is his career. This is his body of work. Here's why he's here. Here's why he loves Ben Harbor. We did have Deputy Director Clark on, but that is actually on my list to do, Shaq. I'd like to start to, and I'm gonna have, as we move forward, because we are now 7 months in to chat with the chief, have more organization to it. Again, I was doing it to try it, and it seems to be working successfully. So now I want to add some more organization to it, have projected out a schedule of guests and topics so people can see those. Again, if we change the time, and let me go back and reiterate for if you came on a little later, that taking suggestions on changing the time of chat with the chief. If 9 o'clock is just kind of where the first chat with the chief started, that's why I did it. I'm wide open to citizen recommendations on if we change the time, leave it the same. That's totally open for discussion. So I'd love to hear from you. Oh, I'm sorry. I need an engineer. I might have to conscript Shaquille to be an engineer. All right, that was one topic. Let me go back to some of these. My topic list always goes back down to the bottom. I'm trying to hit them, go down systematically. All right, that was there. Bernice, it's all the above that you said, Chief. Well, thank you, Shaquille. I don't know how you did all that typing so fast. Listening, we have to meet our youth right where they are. They need a safe haven to speak. Absolutely. We can't rush to call CPS when a mother or father slacks. We have to address that from the heart. And Shaq, again, you're speaking to really heart of the matter. How can we intervene in places that need intervention and not get our people in the system? Because I'm telling you, CPS they're about as bad as trying to get your license back. Dealing with the Secretary of State, the CPS, Secretary of State, and of course the IRS, probably the worst agencies to deal with ever. Again, Shaq has got, he's typing away. On your social media page, I believe if you ask the residents of BH what they wish to see during 2023, be a great start. Once you get those ideas, would you be open to set up an advisory team to assist the department moving forward to end violence? So here's what's crazy, Shaquille. As wild as you are, we think remarkably alike, because in our planning is actually an advisory team, and it's called the Chiefs Advisory Council. So this makes me feel good, Shaq, because I think it halfway shows I'm kind of open to in line with what our community wants. So thank you for that. That is actually, I got a list up of some of our projects and things we're working towards, and Chiefs Advisory Council is on there. So yes, that is something very possible. And I have kind of that I got some people that I rely on that call me, where I call them when I need them. So, all right, so that's that. Getting down. Richard Rabber says, please post no dumping signs. See, the thing is, Rich, we have them, but they're so disrespectful. I don't even think it would matter. Because if we post dumping signs at, say, location A, they'll just move over to B, C, and D and keep going. I think we need better surveillance, and I think we need to hammer people that come, especially from out of town, doing this. But we have dumping signs. We can get dumping signs. I think we don't necessarily legally, unlike trespassing, you have to have a sign or notice that says no trespassing. Dumping is illegal in itself, so we don't necessarily have to have signs. But it'd be kind of costly to have dumping signs. Have to move them around. But I definitely get the point. Richard Roberts there is coming. Is Dennis? All right, Dennis. Hopefully, you got some answers to your questions from last week. The surrounding areas have always used Ben Harbor and his people. Our people are the come up. We're like the black sheep or the country. That is actually pretty. That's pretty poetic. The come up. I think he means that they use our stats for their grant applications, for their programs. They get the money, come in, do a little work, go back out to wherever they're from, and then we're still here. So that is our brother Dennis Holbrook. Again, Dennis, I hope that you connected with who you needed to connect with last week. Getting down to, all right, so we got Brother Bowers. Again, here's a Benton Harbor all-star here. Benton Harbor, born and raised, illustrious career in the Michigan State Police, retiree, and really cool-looking guy. Good morning, sir. Mr. Bauer says, good morning, Chief. It is definitely a holistic approach to approaching our issues. As always, I'm here to support. Appreciate that. Matter of fact, he's a founder of this. The Michigan Youth Leadership Academy is a great tool for awareness and development of our youth. Matter of fact, I have that right here, Brother Bowers. And I would love to maybe connect with you, and you can kind of give me a little bit more insight on this, how we get guys in here. But yes, I have that here. The Michigan Youth Leadership is a great program and a great experience. And I think, Benny, when a program like this, if we get in place what we want, so we take these young men, there's women too, we take these students, they go to a place, they spend time there, they come back. I think they'll come back better than they left. But do we have the support system in place to continue? Let me say that again. Do we have in place the support system so when they do go off to the Michigan Leadership Academy, or maybe sometimes kids juveniles get sent to other agencies, they rent space in other counties to lodge them when they come back, will there be a support system in place for them? That's what we're talking about. How do we move to a support system for all our youth, for the entire community, man, woman, and child, like it needs to be? There's Dennis Holbrook says something about bullying. Do you think BHDPS should have a community engagement coordinator as well as a community service aid coordinator? They serve a purpose. In a perfect world, yeah. Problem is, funding wise, a lot of people think you could just kind of magically snap your fingers and money appears, or you can create positions or departments and then just automatically fund it. Well, there's a budget that's put in place and done, and those positions would have to be proposed, debated, kind of argued for before they are included in the budget. So as far as a coordinator, there's something that I want to have to do the things you're talking about. So the short answer is yes. Long answer is funding for it, because I think this should be a continuous, even if it's a part-time position, that would be a part-time position, to be putting these things in place that I'm going to talk about. Once I get to them, I need to shut up. But I'm reading through the comments, and I'm going to go on and finish kind of our idea as far as the unity of alliance. All right, so here's the Bowers again. The National Organization of Black Law Enforcement, Noble, which I'm a part of, has a great workshop, The Law and Your Community. All right, I like that. All right, I'll write that down. So Noble. Okay, I'm a life member of Noble, so thank you for that. I'm definitely in any program that help my community. I'm interested in, and I firmly believe in. We don't need to reinvent the wheel necessarily. Okay, so Dennis says because they're bullying, you talking about the church is bullying. I would probably tend to agree with you. They bully people into to tithes and offering and money, sake so the pastors can have Cadillacs and Range Rovers. I didn't say that though. Ben Harbor, Michigan Hood News, please. So we're trying to have you on here. We got to connect and make sure we connect and keep you connected so we can get you on here. So thank you for listening, and let us talk so we can get through our technical difficulties and get you on as promised. Plus, I'd love to have you. So thank you for that. Mr. Bernice, yes, Dennis the Church. Yep. So Shot Spotter. So this has come up before. I would agree. We would love to have a Shot Spotter. The problem is Shot Spotter is extremely cost prohibitive. It is extremely cost prohibitive. We looked at that a few years ago, and it was like I want to say in the neighborhood of like, almost $500,000, maybe $300,000 to get started, and then so every service that we have has an annual fee. So, for example, we have platforms like our report management systems, about $3,000. Different platforms would cost. There are subscription fees to them. Their fee would have been $200,000 per year. That's huge. That's probably 4 to 6 officers right there. Well, 4. It's not prohibitive, and it was the installation. It was just really, 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 really expensive. So we are hoping that the technology comes down. If something comes up, people said, "What if you get grants to get it started?" Well, the grants are good if we can get them on the front end, but we still have that $200,000 service fee a year that we have to budget in. And I think right now, quite honestly, looking at the condition of the city, $200,000 could be another trash truck, or go towards a trash truck and go towards some other equipment for public works. It can go towards hiring people at public works. So we have to be kind of wise as far as that goes. But I definitely agree. Get up here. Just Harden, good morning. Good morning to you. Here's Brother Lamar again. They prey on our community because they pay less taxes and they stay in St. Joe, Barron Springs, and they come over to the harbor and do what they want. The trash all in the street and do illegal dumping. That's exactly it. To a T, which drives me nuts. And again, I had some arrests for dumping myself. Funding was always available from our local corporate sponsors. Yeah, maybe, Benny, I need to change my mindset. One of the things when I took this job, we said we didn't want to be begging everybody. So things we've done, we have gotten grants for, and we've been able to generate funds. We have right now, Ben Harbor has your community police department. Ben Harbor has state-of-the-art police equipment and fire equipment. So we've come from a long way from having junk and bubblegum and band-aided stuff to really the best in the industry. And, I think my guys deserve it because you have the best cops in Barron County. At minimum, I would say Southwest Michigan, but at least Barron County. So, but after that, the maintenance. So I'm open to see, maybe they came down just probably about 4 or 5 years ago. We talked to Shot Spotter. If they've come down some, that's definitely something that would be interesting, or even not that actual Shot Spotter, but maybe a similar technology that does the same thing. Definitely open to that, because I hear that it's accurate up to really, really, really close feet wise. So, but also our community has come a long way. And yes, it has. That's Brother Lamar. Let me read a couple of more of these, and I'm gonna get back into finishing what I was saying, and I appreciate the comment that we have so far. Ms. Harden, sir, I would like to have one-on-one talk with you. You're not on here, but through the phone. Can you please send me your phone number? Thank you very much. Absolutely, ma'am. Yes, I will. In fact, my phone number is public, so I'll put it in right now, and you can call me. If I don't answer, leave me a message, and we will talk one-on-one directly. Putting my number in right now. There you go. That's my direct line. Also, I can do it another way out too. So we will connect. Write that down here. I've had other people that I've met with linked to chat with the chief. So I appreciate that. Again, this is what we're here for. Exactly what we're here for. I like this here. The community needs to get more involved with the conversations. I agree. So with that being said, Lamar, you kind of came on later. Maybe should I consider moving chat with the chief to a different time or day and time? I only picked Monday morning because, again, quite frankly, the first chief who did it, I think, on Tuesday at 9. So I started somewhere, but we can improvise, adapt, overcome. So let me jump back in. Dennis has one of them. Let me see. He's got a couple. One thing about, actually, I need an engineer to be able to go through some of these things because I want to read it in context. Here's Brother Dennis. It's not necessarily the rest of the city cops makes it the prosecution and a punishment that they get from the courthouse, which is on their side of the bridge. So they get a slap on the wrist and it's okay because it was Ben Harbor. Again, true. And that goes back to, actually, that segues me back to what I was discussing of social justice. You're right. Why is there a disproportionate disproportionality in the decision making that it appears to us or the people over here? That's exactly true. Okay, so those are the three goals: the spiritual health of the city, of course, and Benton Township, social justice, and the reconstitution of the family structure and sense of community. I'm not going to be able to get into that as much as I would like to, but that is what we're working towards. So some of the things that we have and that we want to do is, all right, with all that being said, remember I talked about the alliances we're trying to start, and I want to have alliances that are multi-dimensional, meaning it's not just alliance of churches or alliance of business owners or alliance of block clubs, but everyone working together. Because I think I'd like to see, and this is very idyllic, where if, for example, say Ashley in one of her programs is doing something at a park, and say, my church has a bounty house. Well, you know what? She calls up, hey, pastor, chief, can I borrow the bouncy house for my event? Absolutely. And we share resources. Maybe you have we want to have an outdoor picnic and the church has extra 50 tables. Let's share them, instead of having to spend money to rent those from, the company in Niles, or, maybe Dennis might be tied up with his events, to be able to exchange resources and work together. So that's part of kind of stakeholders. So some things that we had overall, and I haven't talked about this because years ago I talked about Operation Mayberry, and it's funny because some people went nuts. It was really kind of polarizing because some people were like, which made no sense to me, why did you use Mayberry as an example? Because there were no black people in it, which I think they missed the entire point. And the other side was, we get it. So for most part, that's it. We get it. Versus over here, we're like, why are you using a white example? Which I think is dumb. The point of it is they had a sense of community. They worked together. Everyone knew each other's names. You really should be, I think, in your block, at least know your neighbors on both sides and maybe across the street. I should be able to say, hey, that's Laura and Tony, or hey, that's Ben and Jerry, or whatever. To know who your neighbors are. Maybe you need to call them. Hey, your trash can blew over. I picked it up for you, put it on your porch. Get back to those things. That's what we need. So Operation Mayberry was about the entire, and actually what we're talking about really is encompassing of that concept. We want to have, and this is where that question that Shaquille had, the neighborhood coordinator, or volunteer coordinator, whatever we would call it, to establish neighborhood watches. Now, this is on the police side to combat violence. That again is outside of throwing cops and tickets and getting warrants for people. All right. So neighborhood watches, again, if we can reestablish neighborhood watches and block clubs, block clubs, maybe it might be a whole block, maybe it might be, 3 or 4 blocks, but kind of get those back started. And then there's resources out there where we can help start the block clubs, get bylaws and kind of start to work together. As far as the neighborhood watches, being able to see out in the community, if you see something, say something, report that, and get those neighborhood watch signs in your window, in your post them in your street, and get to a point where we say enough's enough. If we see something, we're telling it. There shouldn't be a shooting that happens, and when we arrive, no one saw nothing, but you got 100 people standing out there. And as we walk by and we hear them saying, "Oh, Pookie should have did that," or Mookie, he was wrong. But then when we talk to you, I don't know nothing. So if we have the neighborhood watches, the block clubs, again, we start to reinvest community, that people take ownership and at least look out for your brother. Try to look out for the person next to you. Get out of the mentality of not my business to, what, that could someday, if not addressed, spill over into me and affect me. So neighborhood watches, we want to establish block clubs. We want as many as we possibly can for both of those. We were trying to start a group violence intervention strategy. That we did get that started, but it's actually morphed. It's not necessarily that. What that is, what we're looking for is a group of individuals that we would actually train to be able to respond in violent situations. So actually what we're working on now, Pastor McAfee, I wish he was on here with us, is that we are looking to, and we got money for this through a grant, to train. There's a trauma training certification course. Pastor McAfee's been through it. I think some people in his church been through it. And he has connections with that. If we continue to have kind of the trauma, and that's a whole nother discussion, the trauma in our city from various things. But right now we're talking about trauma from violent incidents. If we have trained professionals that are from here that can respond and help families start putting the pieces back together from a violent act or a loss of a loved one. So we wanted that, again, that a group that addresses trauma from violence. But again, we also need groups that address trauma from, again, broken families. Having counseling for, young boys, young girls, parents who, doing the best they can, but maybe their mom or daddy weren't the best example, so they just don't know. That is support. So that's what we're looking to do, start some groups and be trained and certified. I believe in being trained and certified. Also from a crime perspective, we have our tip 411. I think we need to probably push that and make it put out there more, because we have that. We get tips from that. That's been going well. We want to improve and expand that. We also want to, at some point, invest in, for our community, what's called Protect DNA. And what that is a program or system where you get these they are specially designed individual tags that you put on your valuables, your TVs, your games, things of value, that if they were to be stolen, have their ID footprint on there, their DNA on there. So there's a scanner. They got pin scanners. They got scanners. You can scan where the mark is, and it'll register as belonging to you. It's specifically to that person. Smart 911 is another thing that we have. We got a couple of community things where people can give us information on them if we have to respond. For example, if they're allergic to peanuts or penicillin, or maybe they're asthmatic, or hey, when you enter the home, they're on oxygen, so make sure there's no fire, that type of thing. As far as stakeholders, I had going before some meetings, apartment managers meeting. We meet once every couple of months. I got to actually get that back going strong. We were meeting with the convenience store owners. They were doing good when they thought we were going to change the hours, and they fell off. And now they're going to get back on. We're going to change their hours, store hours. Another conversation for another time. Again, the Chiefs Advisory Council. Those are people close to me that I trust their opinion. These are people that actually they need to tell me something. Painfully honest, they will, and they are the people. Everyone has kind of like their inner circle, and that would be mine. Of course, Pastor McAfee is in that. My own personal advisor, Reverend Taylor, who's he's our chaplain, is in that. Pastor Palmer. So there's some people that are in that. I'd like to kind of get Ashley high involved in that because we're talking about kind of the same thing. So again, she's a tremendous talent, guys. I mean, trying to get her on here, you're going to love her. She is terrific. Then as far as outreach, we have our basic things that we do. I've been trying to get off to, well, actually we do every year, officer friendly. So we are always in not middle school. We're always in elementary schools, reading the kids, letting them climb on fire trucks, letting them see the police equipment. We're reading stories. My favorite story of all time to read is Green Eggs and Ham. If you ever want me to come to your classroom or to your son's birthday party, whatever, and read Green Eggs and Ham, I will definitely do it. I love that book. And I love, but I warn you, I'm that guy that comes, get the kids all worked up and riled up because I'm goofy, and I leave, and now you're left with having to calm these little jokers down. But I love kids. PAL, Police Activities League, or Police Athletic League. Been trying to get that going for a long time. I'm hoping, again, with partnerships and unity of unifying of agencies, we can finally get that done. Again, going back to Shaq's point as far as the community coordinator, our senior neighbor program. We have a high population of seniors that have been in their homes 30, 60, 40 years. Just kind of check on them. And if they need anything, connect them with services. We have the area agency on aging. We have the Meals on Wheels, making sure our seniors are protected and tended to. Now, we do have some annual events that we do. Juneteenth, National Night Out, Peace for Life Walk. That is one of our official events that we support. Then the Boys and Girls Peace Walk we used to have, but hopefully they'll bring that back. So I have ran out of time. This is why I need either a co-host and or an engineer so I can not be a one-man show. So you see I'm bouncing between screens, reading comments, but I really thank you guys for the discussion. Let me see here. Let me go back up. We're probably gonna go a little bit over. I try to be an hour. There's Brother Holbrook. Everyone should invite someone to next week's chat. I invite my sons. This is a way to get the community involved. Everyone has an opinion and is looking for an outlet. And opinions are important. Even if we don't agree, I want to hear it. Is a good BH. Direct line to the chief on the platform that can be referenced and redeemed. Thank you, sir. Rich, convenience stores need to do better. Litter cleanup, have bins available, etc. Often dumpsters are overflowing. Rich, let me tell you, we got what we call the Chiefs radar, and they are definitely on it because I totally agree. They do all type of shady stuff in the stores and do a really, really terrible job of keeping up outside of the store. At least keep the outside of the store clean. So I agree there. Like Sister Bernice Mason, everyone have a blessed Monday. I agree that sentiment. I thank God. Yeah, here we go. Here is that Community Connect, how you can set up a safety profile for your home and family through a program that we have directly. As a matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to have Fire Marshal Kazmans back on here to talk about. We have had a lot of great success in the fire service this year. Matter of fact, we just were awarded another grant. We've had a great push for, this was Fire Safety Month. We had a number of events that we did, and I think maybe we'll talk about that next week or two, talk about those things. But yeah, and we'll talk about specifically this, because that could be confusing. That's a long little web address. So I want to talk about that. So we're going to get that on there. That's Fire Marshal Kazmans Act. Let me see, do we have anything else? Thank you from Louis Krajecki. Totally agree. Thank you much. Which had a comment. Ben Arbor, 1950 graduate. Sam Broken was a writer for the Andy Griffin Show. Oh, wow. That's amazing. See, small world. And actually, I watch that sometimes because it's entertaining. I mean, granted, it was culturally different from that, but it's funny. I like that Gilligan's Island, but that's good to know. A piece of history. Another thing, there's been Harbor history right here that would have been lost had you not shared that, Rich. I appreciate that. So, okay, well, guys, it's been a couple minutes over the hour. You've been here on Chat with the Chief here. Again, I do want to post this question one more time. You can still comment when this goes off. Would it be advisable or any suggestions to change the time of Chat with the Chief to a different time or keep it where it is? So I'm open to whatever constructive suggestions you may have. So that being said, I thank you all for being here with us with Chat with the Chief here at the City of Ben Harbor. I'm Dan McGinnis, the Director of Public Safety for the City of Ben Harbor, and love you guys. I love my city. I love my town. We got great people here. It's a great job. This is a labor of love. I could be other places, but I choose to be here because this is my home, my people. Love you guys, and we are going to be the crown jewel of not just West Michigan, all of Michigan. So till next week, guys, be blessed. Take care. Be safe. You got my number, so you hit me up.